Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt smaller, confused, or like you were losing yourself? You probably experienced mental or emotional abuse, and you're not alone. Today, I'd like to share what mental and emotional abuse really looks like from the inside.
Welcome back to the Touch My Health podcast. My name is Matt.
I'm Katie.
Today we're going to be talking about mental and emotional abuse. So my question to you is there a difference between the two?
Um, I had to look this up at first because I had the same question because I think we use them interchangeably, but they do overlap. But there's kind of they are different and there's a
Hmm.
helpful way to explain the differences. So when you think of emotional abuse, you think that targets more of your feelings, your self-worth.
Right.
So some examples could be like if you have somebody who's like name calling all the time or constant criticism, humiliation, rejection, guilt tripping. The goal in those is to make you feel small, make you feel unworthy, and dependent on the other person
Like you're
for
not
self
good
worth.
enough. Like you're not
Yeah,
good enough.
it really it plays on the your feelings.
Okay.
So and mental abuse is more psychological. So it's really going to target your thinking and your perception of reality.
Hmm.
So that's where examples of like gaslighting, manipulation, lying, controlling, isolation, things like that come in. And the goal there is to confuse you, make you doubt yourself, kind of question your reality, and control your decision making. So while they are used interchangeably and they do overlap, there are differences between the two. They just normally come hand in hand when you're being not physically abused, but it's mental. It's most of the time it's mental and emotional.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Good old gaslighting and the confusion game and the self-doubt.
Oh yeah.
Probably one of the worst. So, can you describe a time when you realized that you were in a narcissistic or even an emotionally abusive relationship?
Yes. A time that I realized it.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I mean I realized it in, both of my marriages.
Like early on, or it took you a little while to kind of really figure that out?
Yeah, I mean it took me a long time to figure it out because I think after my first marriage I didn't even realize it until I was in my the relationship that turned into my second marriage. And that one, I realized it when I started Googling things because I was like, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel normal. And so I Googled certain behaviors that he was displaying. And that's the first time I ever saw the word like narcissism and gaslighting. And I was like, okay, this makes sense.
Right.
And that was like when I first realized what those words were, what they meant, and that described my relationship and what I was going through.
How old were you then?
Hmm. I mean, this was only,
Like in your early 30s or what?
yeah, I mean, I'm 30,
30s.
39 now.
So
It
you
was
you had already
33,
been
34.
through one bad relationship or marriage where the person showed narcissistic tendencies, gaslighting, and all of that. And it wasn't until the second time around that you really, I guess, like you said, did Google and kind of
Mm.
researched and found out that those are the red flags.
Yes. And I think with my first marriage, sometimes I look back on that and I don't know how much narcissism was there. I think it was some other things too. But second was definitely more like the gaslighting, the manipulation, the making you question your reality, and
Oh, yeah.
amongst many other things. But yeah.
which led to your self-doubt and I'm sure a little bit of an emotional roller coaster inside your head.
Yeah. And I mean, looking back, I do think that there were red flags that I ignored, obviously.
Missed for sure.
I mean, the first one was him being unfaithful, or I
Well,
found out that he was, but I had no proof of it. And then I kind of got proof, but he never went through with it at that time. So because I didn't have like that real
the
solid
real
proof,
damning
and I,
evidence, yeah.
right, and I, instead of, and you don't need that. Like, you don't need the proof to walk away.
Yeah, you don't,
When you know in your heart and you
right.
know, like,
Yeah.
it's there. But some people, and I used to be that way, it's like, no, I got to see it. I need the proof,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, you don't have to catch them in the act of
Right, right.
to know
Yeah.
and trust your gut that something is off and something's not right.
Yeah, and after that, when you break trust and you're unfaithful and do things like that, you're the one that has to rebuild that and you're the one that has to put the trust back.
Right.
And he played his part for a little bit, but then did some things that I was like this is not, you should not be doing this if you're trying to build trust with me and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, so what were some examples, like specific examples of how he was trying to build your trust, but then was breaking it all at the same time?
well, the person that I found out that like he had been talking to while, we were dating, that supposedly he was still like messing around with behind my back. I was like, oh, don't ever contact her again. Like,
Right.
block her number or whatever.
It's a fair boundary.
Right. And then I found out like a week later he had contacted her. And he told me it was like not like that. He just wanted to tell her, like, he wanted to tell her to not ever contact him again, which, makes no sense. And just don't contact them. And then there was another instance where he would go out a lot. Like, he was a very outgoing person, or just he liked to go out. He liked to go out a lot. And that's hard when you're trying to make someone trust you. I feel like, and you're constantly going out to the bars, you're hanging out and doing all this stuff.
Not with you.
No, because I
Alone.
couldn't. Well, he would go with his friends and stuff,
Uh-huh.
but he was one of those people that'd be out till, 2, 3 in the morning or whatever. And then I remember I saw on Snapchat, his cousin had added me on Snapchat, and I saw on Snapchat he's sitting there with her and one of her friends, and she has a guy. So it looks like they're basically like on a double date. And, she's waving it around the bar, and then they're just sitting there, those two talking like really close. And as a, woman, you're like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, that's not, what are you doing? And then when I said something to him about it, like, hey, I saw this, and, typical narcissistic people and behavior, he immediately got defensive, started yelling at me, and then hung up on me. And I was like, "Pff, okay." And I didn't pick up the phone and call him right back. And in that moment, like, I realize now, and I didn't realize it then, that that was such a good thing for me to do, because since I didn't call him right back and chase after him, he like didn't know what to do. And within 5 minutes, he called me back.
He got to stew in it.
Right. Then he called me back, and I was like, what? Like, why are you calling me? And then he started going off again. And then he hung up on me again. And I think he was hoping I would call him back again. And I didn't. And I just texted him like, I'm not going to do this if
You
like
gotta
this
play
is,
your game.
yeah. But of course, he was just trying to gaslight me and tell me I'm blowing something out of proportion, and, you know,
Yeah,
all this
and so
stuff.
you
And I'm like, I didn't do this. Like, you did this.
right.
But those are some like red flags early on, and that was very early that I look back on. And I'm like, I shouldn't even have, like, that should have been it then, you know? Because
Yeah,
that was just telltale signs of what's to come. If three big red flags, I would say three big red flags. If you cannot take responsibility for your actions, huge red flag.
big.
Okay. If you cannot hold yourself accountable and take responsibility for your actions, that's big.
Yep.
Two, if you cannot have a conversation or a discussion or a disagreement without raising your voice, yelling, screaming, being defensive, that's a red flag number two, because in my opinion, you have something to hide. You shouldn't automatically be on the defense and then trying to turn it around on the other person. And third red flag, I would say too, is a lot of love bombing, which is something that happened to me. But if you're getting love bombed super heavy in the very beginning, just pay attention to that. Unfortunately, it's probably not genuine.
100%. You talked about that manipulation and kind of the control of that situation. How did the person, your soon to be second husband, how did uh, he isolate you from friends or family or?
Well, that was the interesting thing because I didn't really get isolated. I know that happens in a lot of narcissistic relationships, and I have two friends right now who are in relationships with narcissists, like severe. And I do feel like they feel isolated and they've gotten more. For me, that didn't happen, but the only reason it didn't was because I was already isolated. I lived
Oh,
in a state where I didn't know anyone. I had
mhm.
just moved here, so I had no friends. I had no family. It was literally just me and my children
Yep.
and obviously my children's father, but we weren't together. So there was nothing to isolate. And I think that's why he was so drawn to me too, because there was no one to compete with. There was no friends to compete with. There was no family to compete with. There was nothing. All I had was him. That was it. And
So you were
so
dependent.
it's not that I was dependent at that time.
Yeah.
It's just he had nothing to compete with.
Hmm.
He knew all of my attention. He wouldn't have to fight for that attention. There would be no arguments about me going and having girls' night with my friends or something like that and him getting all pissed off about it because I had no girlfriends. And the friends I did make, I made through him. So they were people that he was comfortable with. He knew.
Hmm.
I mean, and even later on, he would be, you know, I couldn't imagine being like, "Hey, we're gonna have a girls' night." It probably
That
like,
that would have never happened.
well, no, it would happen, but I'd probably be made to like I'd either be bugged the entire night, probably, or made me feel bad or
Yeah.
like something.
Did you feel like you had to walk on eggshells, uh, if you were to ask to go on a girls' night or do something alone?
Well, I've felt like I was walking on eggshells constantly, especially
Mm.
towards the end, because you try to avoid confrontation. And I'm a very non-confrontational person. And I don't want to argue. I don't want to fight. I don't,
No.
and so when you don't, it's one of those like when you don't know what you don't know. So you sit there and talk and say something and you make a comment or and then it gets blown out of proportion or they get mad and
Right.
so then you walk on eggshells and you feel like you don't even want to talk. There were times where I just felt like I don't even want to talk, like I don't want to say anything. I just want to be quiet because if I open my mouth and say something, what if I say the wrong thing, or what if I say something it turns into a fight or an argument and I didn't even mean anything by it, or and it would happen a lot too when we would be out and about because you're drinking, you're having fun, you let loose a little bit, and then, you know, I'd have to be very careful. I would tell myself before we have a night out, like, you know what, just don't talk, just don't say anything. Like it made me feel like I couldn't talk a lot of times. And so that makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells because you have
Yeah.
to be very careful.
Yeah. And not able to communicate between the two of you because if you do communicate how you're feeling or communicate with him about the night out, it would possibly turn into a fight.
Yeah, and it's not even communicating. Like I would just, if we're out with friends and someone makes a joke or I make a joke back and he perceived that joke to be not funny or took some sort of offense to it or got upset, I would hear about it later. I mean, there was a time like I made a joke to one of, our friends about something and I don't even, I know exactly what it was, but I don't want to get into it, but it was like something with a cigar cutter and no one made a big deal about this. Like me and the friend, his guy friend were joking around about something, and I made a joke about cigar cutter, and I don't know if you know the size. Like when it opens up, it's real small,
Yeah.
and they were all smoking cigars, and I don't know how we were talking about it, but like he made like a dick joke.
Hmm.
With the size of the cigar cutter or whatever,
Yeah.
like just being
Yeah.
funny. We were all talking about it.
Right.
And he chewed my ass out later that night about that. Like
Because you
said
made a
that,
dick joke?
yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah. And said that everybody felt uncomfortable. And I made this, and it was just things like that. That was not the first time that happened, but it was things like that to where it made me feel like I couldn't even, I couldn't joke around.
Couldn't be
Um,
yourself.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in group chats and I would just feel like I had to be quiet because if I made a funny joke or a comment in the group chat, he'd call me and start bitching at me.
Because you were acting ladylike because
Probably, probably
you
because
referenced a dick
I
joke.
sometimes have some rude jokes, I
Yeah.
guess.
They're pretty funny to me, but
Yeah. But yeah, definitely there was a lot of times I felt like I was walking on eggshells, especially towards the end.
which is part of that gaslighting and the manipulation. Uh, do you recall a time when you questioned your own reality and kind of when that gaslighting started in your relationship?
Oh yeah. We would have arguments and he would always most of them would come up after we'd been drinking. And as I mentioned, he was like a big one to want to go out a lot. And so he would always say I would say something or do something and it wouldn't get brought up at the time. It would always be later on the way home. And
When he had you alone?
right, right.
Okay.
But I would not know what he was referring to, or I would remember it in a different way than
Hmm.
he was describing it. And so, the first couple times it's like, okay, maybe I even remember thinking, all right, maybe I have a problem. Like maybe I do have a drinking problem, or maybe it is me, even though I've never had anyone else in my entire life tell me that or be like, oh my God, do you know what you said or you know what you did when you were, drinking? Like I've never had that.
Right. We all say
Um,
dumb shit when we're drinking.
right. Or
Pretty
I don't
normal.
know. And so it just got to the point where I was like, this is not, I had to start writing things down. Like I would start picking up on clues or hints if I thought he was going to say something about something I just said or whatever. So I would start making notes in my phone. And then that's when I started also doing journals and writing things down in a journal. So that way the next day, or, you know, I knew I wouldn't get out of it that night, but maybe the next day I could go back and be like, that's not how that, happened, or that's not, I didn't say that,
Yeah.
or I'd be like, why don't you just say something to me? Like, if I say something that upsets you or bothers you, then why don't you just pull me to the side and say, hey, like
In the
talk to
moment.
me about it.
Hmm.
But you don't. You just wait till we get in the truck and then berate me and yell at me. And it, of course, sets me off. And then I'll probably start yelling back. Or
Right.
sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. I mean, I know one time I got so upset because he said something so hurtful to me that I like severely overreacted. Like I threw his keys and then I kicked a big hole in our laundry room door, which I'm sure he just thought, just gave him like, see, she's crazy.
Yeah.
She's crazy.
She's anger management.
Yeah. It's like push someone to the edge, and I admit like I overreacted. I
Hmm.
shouldn't have done that, but
Right.
I was said some pretty hurtful things and I just lost it. So,
Yeah, being pushed to your breaking point. I mean, everybody has that breaking point, and the constant beratement and that manipulation can set you off. I
mm,
mean, that's pretty normal.
yeah.
How did he use silent treatment, guilt, or love bombing to keep you hooked?
Well, in the beginning, it was love bombing. It was a lot of love bombing, and I didn't even know what that was. And it was really more in the form of like gifts, and words of affirmation, I would say, text, things like that.
Sweet little
Um,
notes and stuff.
right.
Hmm.
And, having talks about, our future and like long term, and those are things that feel nice, and buying flowers,
Makes you feel
make
secure, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
But and I say it's love bombing that I didn't really recognize because it wasn't things that I had ever really had before. I never had like any relationship I'd ever had before that. I had got that kind of love bombing treatment. So this was all really nice, and I had come out of a relationship too where we didn't get along at all, and for a long time it was pretty bad. Um, so all this was great,
Hmm.
but it's also very short-lived. Once they feel like they've got you, then a lot of that stuff, starts to go away. And trips too, trips. I had never really been on trips before, and it was like, oh, let's go here and let's go here and do this and do that. You know, kind of a has an MO.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But so there was a lot of that in the beginning, and that was what kept me hooked then.
Hmm.
Um, and then, we moved in together, and well, I feel like when we moved in together is when a lot of the love bombing kind of settled down. Um,
Where you
yeah,
see each other every day and
right.
yeah.
Yeah. And as far as using like the silent treatment, guilt, that came um, after we moved in together and stuff. But silent treatment, yeah, that was used a lot because we would have arguments and then he wouldn't talk to me for days. He
Oh,
would just be quiet. But we had weird schedules too.
yeah.
So it would be sometimes it would be because like we were just really in passing and we didn't. I don't want to say didn't have time to talk because I feel like that's just making an excuse for it. You
It
make
is.
time when you want to make time.
Hmm.
But it's that like holding out because, well, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm not going to say anything. And a lot of times I would wind up caving because I would be tired of it. And you sit in there and you sit in your thoughts enough and you just, fine, like, let me just break the ice. Let me get this over with. And I feel like I didn't ever have a problem admitting when I was wrong. If I was wrong or I did something wrong, I feel pretty confident that I would admit to that. But when it wasn't me and I knew it wasn't me,
Hmm.
it was like, why do I have to? Like, why are you giving me the silent treatment? Like, why am I getting this? I would wake up and hope that he would like see the light of day and, it wouldn't happen. So,
The silent treatment is one of those things that just boils my blood. I just that tension while you're walking around the house all day, every day, you just
hmm
in passing, trying not to touch each other or bump each other. And my ex-wife used to do that. We would go 2, 3 days without talking to each other, and I hated it. But did you have to be the one to break the ice and
most of the time.
address the situation every
Oh,
time?
yeah, I would say most of the time. I don't want to say definitely every time. I'll say most of the time. I don't really know the psychology behind it. I think it's just people being stubborn in their own ways and thinking, okay, well, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not going to say anything, but you're not resolving anything. You're not resolving conflict. There was no conflict resolution. And I think when you're a narcissist and you're just someone who is very emotionally immature, you don't know what good conflict resolution is.
Yeah.
Or you grew up in a household maybe where there wasn't any either, and you never learned it. Um, so
I think that's a lot of what having siblings does is helps in that conflict resolution or even close friends and having to fight through those disagreements and sometimes with gaslighting and people that are narcissists that are unable to take accountability for their own actions, you're always at fault. It's never them, it's always you, or they're always the victim. Every single time. That's been my experience.
yeah.
What was the turning point when you realized this isn't normal and you
Mm.
finally decided to leave?
Oh, well, I was gonna say I realized this isn't normal before, like I said, when I started Googling things. And I actually,
Things.
yeah, and I actually made, I actually made him a PowerPoint presentation because it was how I knew in my analytical brain
Hmm.
the best way to communicate my thoughts in a way that I felt could be reasonable and get through to him.
Yeah.
And I also thought at that point too, me making a PowerPoint presentation for my significant other is not normal. Like I should be able to talk
Yeah.
without and express myself and communicate without making a PowerPoint presentation. But I digress. The turning point for like when I finally decided to leave was when you can do things, it's okay for you to do things, but it's not okay for me. If it's okay for you to do it, then why can't I do it?
Mm.
And what happened was it was a Christmas and I wanted to go somewhere because he was working and I was going to be home alone. My kids were gone. They
Yeah.
were with their dad
Right. So it's
and
just you at the house.
just me.
Hmm.
And wanted to go to my friend's house. And then made me feel terrible and was like, I can't believe you would even ask to leave on Christmas. You know, what kind of a wife does that? And blah, blah, blah. You know, and then did the whole, I had a surprise for you. I was going to surprise you. And we were going to go out somewhere after when I got home from work. Mind you, it's Christmas Day. I'm like,
Barely anything's
bullshit.
open. Yeah.
I'm like, like that's
Right.
a manipulation, a lie. And so,
Hmm.
he came home. I'm like, all right, where are we going? What are we doing? You know,
Yeah.
he's like, no, we're not doing anything now. I'm not taking you anywhere. And also, the reason I asked too was because he had told me, I had asked him before, are we going to be doing anything after you get off work? Are we going to your mom's? Like, what's going on? And he said, nope, I'm going to go in the garage. And, that's where he like lived besides the house. Like, yeah, that was there 90% of the time. So,
So
you know,
you were gonna be home all day, and then when he got home, he was gonna
be in the
be
garage
by himself anyway.
doing his hobby at the time that he liked to do, um, making things. But he was going to be working in the garage, playing in his, what do they call it? We'll just say your man cave. He was going to be in there. He had stuff to do.
Yep.
So, like, I don't have my kids. I'm sad,
Yeah.
lonely. You don't want to do anything. And you didn't even mention about spending time with me. So I said, oh, I'm going to go see my friend. And then you make me feel guilty about it and fabricate this lie. I'll never believe it to this, that you were going to surprise me and take me somewhere.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you're such a liar. Like, no, you weren't. You weren't going to do anything. you
He just
know?
wanted you to be at the house
Right.
by
And there's
yourself.
so many other ways you can go about that, you know? There's so many other ways you can go about telling someone that you
Yeah.
want them there. But that's what he would do all the time, too. It was always he could do anything and I could do nothing. Whatever he wanted to do is fine. He wants to go out with his friends and stay out till 2 a.m. He can. If I did, oh my God. Like, it was always that do as I say, not as I do. I
Double
can do it.
standard.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
couldn't stand it. I couldn't take it. And it just like all the other, it's like everything just came flooding to my mind. And I was like, I can't live like this. Like I am miserable. I'm
Right.
actually miserable.
Yeah.
Like I just realized it. Like I am miserable. I don't like where I'm at.
It sounds like even you talking about it still kind of boils your blood. It
Well, sometimes it's been quite a few years now. I've done a lot of work on myself. I've been to therapy. I've, moved on and I mean, obviously moved on, we're together, but like moved on in the sense that that part of my life is over.
yeah.
So, but now we're rehashing it and talking about it.
Yeah, and
So,
sometimes that it brings up those old
yeah.
feelings again.
Yeah. I mean, there, like now that I think about it, I remember there was a time when we were going on a vacation somewhere, I
Mhm.
think, or I was going somewhere, maybe by myself. I think I was going somewhere by myself. I don't remember the circumstances around why I
I
was.
was gonna say you were allowed to go somewhere
It was
the one time.
no, but it was some sort of circumstance. I think that I was going by myself.
Okay.
Um, like I said, I can't remember what it was, but I was going to ask my aunt works is high up in one of the hotel businesses, one of the chains. And so I was going to ask her if there was a room she could get me because we would do that occasionally.
Yeah.
If there was one in the area, and it was in her region, she gets
Yeah,
room.
get your free
So
room, right?
I was going to ask her, and he flipped out when he found out. He was like, absolutely not. We don't do that. You're not asking her. Like, that makes me look so bad. Just so pissed that I was making him look bad by asking my aunt to get us or me. I really can't remember if it was just me or both of us. He's like, it makes it look like I can't take care of you or, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and he was just so mad about it. Like, there was no, hey, you don't need to do that. Like, it's okay. I got it. Like, don't, you know, no kindness, no gentleness, no nothing. It's just sandpaper, abrasion. Like, you know, and I'm like, what did I, like, why?
That's not out of pocket to ask somebody
Yeah.
for a free room,
But it was
paying for
because he
it and
thought it
stuff.
made him
Yeah.
look bad.
Hmm.
Because and I felt like a lot of things that he did in our relationship when they would be lavish or extravagant or like, look at what I did for you and this and that. It's like, it didn't feel like it was for me. It felt like it was for him, for show. It felt like it was for him to show, look how great I am. Look what I've done. Look
To
what I
feed,
do for her.
yeah,
And
feeding his
it
own
didn't,
ego.
yeah, and it started to feel disingenuine.
Mm,
Is that the word?
yeah. Hmm.
Um,
And everything turned into about him.
mhm. Well, yeah, and then it's like it would be flipped around. That's where the guilt would come in too, because it'd be like, I've done this for you, I've done that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but really, did you do it for me or did you do it for you? I really can't tell anymore, you know? And he would lie. Like he thinks I didn't know, but like I know
Yeah.
he would lie about things with going out with his friends. He would say, oh, so and so called me and text me and wants to go hang out. No, it was him. You initiated it. You asked. I saw the text. Like you asked that person to hang out. Hey, I want to go do something, but then would turn around and say they did. You know.
I wonder what they get out of a narcissist gets out of that
Yeah.
and what drives them to the need to feed their ego like that. Because all that does is again make you question
Mhm.
what they're doing and question that genuineness about it. Like does just
Yeah.
doesn't even feel good anymore.
Yeah, and then another back to like the double standard about
Yeah.
where I was getting to also with the hotel incident. Double standard again. I can't ask my aunt for hey, you got a room you could put me up in or whatever, but he could go behind my back and ask, his family for money and never tell me about it. And I don't think he ever knew that I knew because I didn't say anything because I didn't want to argue. But like I can't ask.
For a free room,
Yeah.
but you're asking for money.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy, crazy. What when you left, what challenges did you face after leaving, rebuilding confidence or trust in others? How did that what did that look like?
Um, well, like I think back to both of my marriages, and I didn't have any relationships in between them. Um, so it's really like the two that I have to go off of. Um, I remember after my first marriage, it was I was 30. I'd like just turned 30. So I was young. I was still learning about myself, and I thought that I was getting a really good person. Like I just kept comparing him to the previous one and was like, well, he's better than this one, so he must be good, like I
Right.
can't complain. Like as if I didn't have any other choices, or also as if I had to be with someone. Like I couldn't just be by myself. And so after the second one, it was kind of, well, so after my first marriage, it was hard to trust because it was hard to trust myself because I did a lot of things I shouldn't have done. So it was hard to trust myself. And then he was not honest and faithful in the beginning. And so it made it hard for me to trust him for a little while. And that was a problem.
Makes sense.
And then after my second, marriage and when I left, it was hard because um, just trying to figure out myself again. Like I feel like I never got a chance to do that. I never got a chance after my first marriage to really figure out who I was
Mm.
and grow as a person because I was just made to feel like very small and my self-worth was not there. Um, I didn't feel, I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't feel wanted. I didn't feel needed. But I was mad at myself that I felt that I should feel those things from somebody. I was like, why can't I just be happy with myself? Why can't I just feel happy with me?
Be
Why?
because that's part of that manipulation and the gaslighting is to
Mhm.
make your sense of self-worth the lowest it can
Mhm.
be, so you were dependent on their words.
Yeah. And I just didn't want to be, I'm like, I don't want to feel like I have to have validation through someone else. I don't want to feel like that.
Yeah.
That like that's an important part to me. I just want to feel good about myself. I want to know why I am the way I am. And I want to know why I've done the things that I've done and continue to do certain things and, put myself in the same situations and things like that. And
And learn to
so,
be comfortable in your own skin.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And learn to be comfortable in my own skin and be myself because a lot of times I felt like I couldn't be myself. And myself, if I wanted to be myself, myself was bad. And I'm like, I'm not a bad person. I'm not like
Yeah.
now, I look back, I'm like, I'm not a bad person. Maybe our personalities weren't the same. And I do think that. I think that our
Yeah.
personalities were very different. And, we did not work well. We had very different um, styles, I guess. I don't know, personalities, like I said.
Yeah.
I
Humor's
used to I
different.
used to say a lot to him that I'm like, I don't think you like me. Like, I honestly believe that. Like, I don't think you like me.
Hmm.
I think you love what I do for this family and this household and the idea. Like, you have this idea and image in your head, but I don't feel like you like me. Like, like I really don't think you do.
Yeah. You
You
like
know?
all the things that he liked, all the things that you can do for him.
Yeah, in the family and
Yeah.
things. So
Ugh,
it was
that's,
I wouldn't say it was hard for me to like trust you, like
mhm.
or trust somebody else afterwards. I feel like I've always been a very trusting person, but it's more the trust in myself to make the right decisions and to not keep putting myself in positions where I'll make the wrong decision or I keep making the same mistakes. That's the only part that was hard was trusting myself, not like trusting someone else or like when I
Yeah.
met you,
And,
not
and,
trusting you,
and not putting yourself back into that same
getting in the same bad cycle.
gaslighting, manipulation type of abusive relationship. And speaking of abuse, I mean, what helped you the most in healing from that abuse?
Therapy.
Therapy?
Therapy and time. A lot of self-reflection, being honest with
Ooh.
myself. A lot of self-reflection, being honest with myself and
Mhm.
going to therapy and putting in the work, not just going in and having someone tell me, you know, you're awesome, you're amazing, nothing's wrong with you. They're pieces of shit, like no,
Right. Not just
someone,
taking your side.
yeah,
Yeah.
not just someone, what's my favorite? Placating me, placating me,
Yeah.
placating me.
Yeah.
But just the self-reflection. And for me, it was, I think, just a turning point. I feel like people get to that where something just clicks in your head and you go,
You realize it's over.
I can't, well, or you're
Yeah.
even just internally, you're like, I can't live like this anymore.
Hmm.
I can't. I have two friends right now that are in, um, I would say, relationships that are very mentally and emotionally abusive. And I pray all the time that they will wake up one day and that click will happen and they will be able to walk away because when it happens and it finally is like, what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
It's so much, it just makes it so much easier. And it does make the healing easier too, because you can be honest with yourself. You can have that self awareness and self reflection and start just healing yourself. But therapy is, for me, it was very helpful. It was really, really helpful.
Yeah, I can recall when the day that I decided to leave my ex-wife, it felt like a light bulb had went off. Like I just realized I was tired of living unhappy and living like this, and it felt like a weight off of my shoulders. Did it feel similar like that to you?
Hmm. And it was very tough because I'm such a compassion. It's my new word. I'm very compassionate. And so I'm a people pleaser too. And so the fear was always in the back of my mind that I would cave just to avoid the confrontation. And I knew there was going to be a lot of tears and that I didn't know would be real or not, but a lot of, you know,
Hmm.
and I just had to, I just kept telling myself like, it doesn't matter. You can sit here and say you're going to change, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and you'll do it for 2 weeks and you'll go back to being the exact same way you were because it's happened time and time again. And this just isn't where I need to be. I know it's not where I need to be, and it's not where I want to be. And so I just had to keep reminding myself that I just have to get through this confrontation and endure this, and it will be over, you know.
Yeah, push through the door, and the healing on the other side is going to be worth everything you're enduring right now.
Hmm. Yeah.
If you could go back and talk to your past self, what would you say to your previous self? I know that this is such a tough question to ask, but I'm interested to hear your answer.
Oh boy, if I could go back and talk to my past self, I would say a lot. I mean, it would go back, like, how far back of the past self are we talking? Because
Right? Exactly. That's what
I would, oh man, I'd go back to,
let's go back to before you decided to leave your daughter's husband. Let's go to that self.
oh, well, I would go back to that self and tell her to stop doing dumb shit.
Hmm.
Stop taking out your frustration and justifying your horrible bad actions. I would justify things a lot. I'd say, well, he's mean to me. He doesn't do anything. He yells at me, this and that. So that's why I act this way, or that's why I stepped out, and that's why I did this. It's not an excuse.
Justifying yourself.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because I regret that. I regret that a lot. I would tell myself to have conversations, try to have conversations, you know, be more mature. I would also tell myself to not drink as much. Um,
Do you think that was a hindrance?
I mean, I don't know. I don't remember, but I made a lot of poor choices because I was drinking.
Makes sense.
I got in an accident one night because I was drinking, and it could have been a lot worse than it was. But I also don't think I devoted as much time to my kids as I would have liked to, because I think I was just in a more selfish mindset. And I think I didn't put my best foot forward that I could have with that marriage. I think we both could have done a lot better, but
Yeah.
I don't think it would have changed the outcome in the end.
Right.
But justifying bad behavior because your feelings are hurt is not justification for it.
Okay. What would you tell your past self in your second marriage?
Oh, I would have told her after the first 2 months when he, was um, caught being unfaithful. Don't go back. That I would tell
Just
myself, yeah, that
cut
would have
loose.
never have
Yeah.
that would have never have went the length that it did, which is it's tough to I don't know if it's tough to say, but like it makes me like would I be where I am now? You know?
Yeah.
Would I have you? I don't know. Because and I wouldn't want to not have you.
Oh.
Because and I say that because Texas is not my home. So even if my girl's dad and I, still weren't together, would I have followed him? Would I have stayed here? Would I have found someone else?
Yeah, you could play the what
Or
if
what, yeah,
game all day
or
long.
what if we met earlier, but you weren't the same person you are today? You were that person then. We
Right.
might not have, but
Yeah.
I still would have gone back to her and been like, nope, don't walk away. Walk
Yeah.
away and work on yourself. Walk away, work on yourself, focus on your career. I would have taken my CPA test way sooner, and pay more attention and focus on yourself, focus on your kids. Don't worry about anyone else. That's what I would tell myself.
You have to be comfortable being alone and not being in a relationship to really, I feel like, dive into yourself and feel comfortable in yourself. That was a huge thing for me is when I got divorced, I was not living with anybody for over 3 years. And I mean, I dated girls here and there, but nothing serious. And I feel like when you do that, you give yourself time
Hmm.
to work on yourself. And you spend a lot of nights alone and a lot of nights in bed, but it gives you that time, like you said, for self-reflection.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something I never really got to do after my first marriage because I went right into that relationship. And although we didn't live together for about a year, it was still it was still all very fast. Now looking back at it, it was still quick. But I've been in a relationship too, pretty much since I was like 15. I mean, a
Jesus.
very, yeah, very small periods of time where I was single from the time I was 15.
You're one of those born with a boyfriend types.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else you tell your past self?
Bitch, get your shit together. Get your shit together.
Yep.
Yeah. Stop, stop thinking about other people. Take care of yourself, take care of your babies, and get your shit together.
Bingo. That's
Yeah.
it.
And I make my daughters wear bows and dresses more often, so maybe they'd wear them now.
Here's a couple questions for our listeners.
Okay.
How can a person differentiate between normal conflict and abusive behavior?
That's a great question. How you can differentiate between the two is how the your partner reacts. Are they reacting in a way where it's calm, you guys are having a conversation, it's healthy even if it's a disagreement, or is it I'm screaming at you, I'm deflecting, I'm trying to turn it around, I'm trying to make you question yourself. That's abusive. Like that's that is abusive behavior.
Yep.
You should be able to have healthy conflict in your relationship and healthy communication. And if we're having a conflict and we're having, I won't even say an argument or a discussion, even if we have an argument, if you're yelling and screaming and you're cussing and you're
Name
deflecting
calling.
answers, name calling, trying to shame them or make them feel guilty and like trying to take all the attention off you and just turn it around on them, that's abusive behavior. It's abusive behavior, period. If that's the kind of conflict you're having, that's a problem.
Clear red flag.
Yeah.
What should someone do if they suspect they're being emotionally or mentally abused, but they're not quite ready to leave?
What's the saying? You can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink.
Yeah.
I wish you could because there are some people I'd like to drink the water,
Hmm.
drink the water,
Drown them in
drink the.
it. Yeah.
Um, what I would say if you're in that situation, especially if you're in that type of a relationship, you're being mentally and emotionally abused, but you're not ready to leave, why? Like, take a step back and ask yourself, why? Why can you not leave? What is it about this person that is good and makes you want to stay?
I
Write it
don't.
down. Make
And
a list. Pros and cons,
yeah,
right, left.
that's a great
Make
idea.
a list. Guarantee you there's more on those cons. And the only reason that it's hard for you to leave or you're not ready to leave at that point is probably because you're trauma bonded. That would be my guess. You've probably been in the relationship a long time, and you just, or you have kids together. There's always that, and it's like I don't want to, break up my home or
Yeah.
things like that.
Financially,
Yeah.
you're stuck.
But I think you just take a step back and just say, why? Why can't I leave? Why am I not ready to leave? Why? What is it about this person that makes me want to stay? And write it down. Make a list of good and bad, pros and cons.
Yeah, make
That's,
a list and check it twice.
yeah, three
And
times, four
and
times.
don't let financials be the reason that you stay.
Yeah.
Don't let money be the reason you stay because it ain't worth it. You'll make money.
Money will come and go.
You're gonna lose money. It's gonna be, you have to choose you and you have to choose your own happiness.
Yes, exactly. Well, now that we've discussed all my mental and emotional trauma for the last hour and rehashed all that,
It's very brave of you for talking about it and letting our listeners hear about
thank you. It's
it's
uncomfortable,
I
but
know it's uncomfortable. I know it's gotta be. And
You know why part of it's uncomfortable though? Because I still have that thought in my head that it's not, I shouldn't complain and it's not that bad because it wasn't physical.
Oh, mental's way
It's
worse.
almost like
Mental is
survivor's
way worse.
remorse, you know?
Oh yeah. The
So
mental and
sometimes I feel like that's what makes it hard to talk about is because people feel like it's just, you're just too sensitive. Like I
your favorite.
hate that word. But I feel like there's kind of a stigma on it. People don't consider it real abuse. And mental and emotional abuse is very real.
Very.
And it does have very long-lasting impacts. There are things I do still to this day because of mental and emotional abuse.
Yeah, black eyes and bloody lips go away, but that mental stays.
Yeah.
That mental trauma stays.
But that's why sometimes it's hard to talk about because I feel like people are just going to think I'm being a whiner. But
Well, who cares what other people think, babe?
it's true.
You're you're speaking out about it, and if you guys got anything from it, leave a comment in the comments below on YouTube. We have Instagram and TikTok, and of course, like and subscribe to this podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you for joining us today. If you learned something and our stories resonate with you, subscribe to our podcast. That's a zero-cost way to support our channel. You can also follow us on Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. They're linked in the description of the episode. We'd love for you to put any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes in the comment section on YouTube. We'll read them all. Again, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your interest. And as always, we remind you to be the best version of yourself. See you next time on the Touch My Health podcast.